Hi guys, my name's Abby, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be discussing a book series that I need to complete. I am so bad when it comes to finishing book series. I think I put off the end because when I enjoy something so much, I don't want it to end. So I'm in the middle of a bunch of series and I'm hoping by the end of the year to have completed a few more. Let's just jump into this video. So one of the series I'm currently in the middle of, I only have one book left, is the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy. The first one being The Deal, the second one being The Mistake, the third one being The Score, and the fourth one being The Goal. The only one I haven't read yet is The Goal. Each of these are individual stories, so they're like companion novels. You could read them by themselves, but if you don't want to be spoiled for stuff that happens in the earlier novels, definitely read them in order. And each book deals with a different hockey star from the team and their relationships. The reason I haven't read The Goal yet is because it has one of my least favourite tropes, which is pregnancy in like teenagers. Yeah, I definitely want to finish it. I like the last book, I have one book, they normally take me one day to read, so I will get it done, it's just when. The next series that I need to get finished, I always used to claim was my favourite series, but it clearly isn't if I haven't finished it yet. It's been finished for a while now, and that is the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I have read all of them up to Queen of Shadows. I read Queen of Shadows and I stopped because that was up to where everything was published, and then by the time the Empire of Storms came out, I completely forgot everything that happened and knew I would need to reread the series up to that point and just didn't do it. So now I'm at the stage where I need to reread the entire thing and catch up. I have all the books at home, not in Australia, annoyingly, so I don't know if this is a series that will happen this year, probably when I am back in England. Throne of Glass is about this assassin called Selena Sardothian, and she was in an enslavement camp called Endovia when the crown prince comes and offers to basically save her life in exchange for her training to be the king's assassin. And she has to compete in this competition to become the king's assassin. It's either she stays in Endovia, the salt mines, and she will definitely die because they are basically death camps, or she comes and lives in the castle and trains to be the king's assassin. But she absolutely despises the king and everything he stands for. I love this series so much. They're one of my favourite characters. Relationships are between Dorian and Kale. I love their friendship. The series just has a very special place in my heart. I binge read the first three back to back, and that was all that was out at the time I started reading it, and then I had to wait for so long, which is why this is another reason I'm really bad at finishing series. If I have to wait for books to come out, I tend to not ever finish the series because I forget what happens, and I hate rereading books just to get onto the next one. And I know I often read the recap on Recaptins, the website, but sometimes that's not enough. That's what I did between Airfire and Queen of Shadows, and I don't feel like I got the full experience of Queen of Shadows. So yes, I'm gonna reread. I did start to reread, and I finished Throne of Glass, but I never went on to Crown of Midnight, and then I left home, so yes, not the smartest. Next series is The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I have read both Cinder and Scarlet, and I am currently reading the audiobook for Cress, and then it's winter after that. I also want to read the short stories that are with this, and I think they're called Fairest and Stars Above. I don't feel so bad about this one though, because I have been reading them like slowly through the years, so I did read Scarlet this year. The first one is called Cinder, and it's about a cyborg. It's like a cyborg retelling of Cinderella, and I love how Marissa Meyer weaves all the different storylines in together, because a lot of the characters' storylines are separate, and it's interesting to see how she manages to get them to all come together. The next series that I need to finish is the Dyer series by Michelle Hodkin. I read The Unbecoming of Dyer, I think right at the beginning of this year, maybe it was the end of last year, and I absolutely adored it. I was obsessed with it. I picked up the second one and I was so bored reading it, so I put it down, which was a mistake, but it wasn't. I got more reading done putting it down, but I do need to pick it back up because The Unbecoming Mara Dyer was one of my favourite books, like, so far that I've read this year. So yes, but it's about this girl called Mara Dyer who, she has amnesia, and basically a really tragic event happens, and so her whole life is uprooted, and she moves to this different area to go to school, and she meets this boy called Noah Shaw, who is great, and it's just about her kind of piecing together what happened, and then some creepy stuff starts happening. It's honestly great for like this time of year, so like Halloween. I would definitely recommend picking it up. It definitely has spooky vibes, and I do really want to read it. One that I think a lot of people are going to come at me for, that I have not finished, is The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare. And the sad thing about this one is that I've literally only got the last book left to read. I've got City of Heavenly Fire, and I've had it for so long. Why have I not? I've been reading this series for so long. Why have I not got to it? This is just me shaming myself, basically, this video. Well, I know why I haven't got to it. So it's like 1,000-page long book. It's very intimidating. I'm also not super invested in this series. I think if I'd read it when I was younger, I would have been obsessed. But I just don't think I vibe with Cassandra Clare's writing style. I have finished The Infernal Devices, and I did enjoy that series, but it's definitely not one of my favourites. It's like just okay, in my opinion. In the Mortal Instruments, there's some storylines that I could definitely just do without. Like, I absolutely adore Alec and Simon and Magnus and Isabel. Basically all the side characters I really like. I just don't like particularly enjoy reading from Clary or Jace's point of view. Now, a graphic novel series that I'm in the middle of is Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. I read the first 4 volumes, and there are 9 volumes out currently. This one I don't feel too guilty about because I can reread them quite quickly, and also I don't tend to forget what happens in the previous ones, so I can just pick up the next volume whenever. But I'm glad that I haven't picked up the next one yet, because I know that they're now on like a pause, and they're not releasing past volume 9 for a bit now. They're taking like a hiatus, and as I said, I don't like to read series that aren't finished yet, so I'm glad that I have not read up to it. But Saga is basically about these 2 aliens from warring planets. They have a child, and they are being hunted down because that is illegal, and it's about their like trying to escape captivity and just their journey through space. And it has some of the best art style I've ever seen. I'm not really a sci-fi lover, and I absolutely love the art and just the story. It's so intriguing, and I definitely recommend it. The next series is the Wayward Children series by Shauna Maguire. I've only read the first book, Every Heart a Doorway, but I absolutely adored it. I have no reason for not picking up the next ones. They're just difficult to find. They're basically about these children who go to magical worlds, and it's about them trying to cope when they come back. There's also like a murder mystery element in the first one, which was not what I was expecting, but I really enjoyed it. They're super short. They're like about 200 pages. I flew through it in like one sitting, the first one, so they won't take long. But also, this is another uncompleted series, so more of an excuse. The next series is the Penryn and the End of Days series. I have only just recently read the first one of this one, so I give myself a bit more leeway. The first one is Angel Fall by Susan E. And then there's World After and End of Days. I did really enjoy the first book, but it was a bit gruesome for me, and I'm a bit unsure whether I would enjoy the rest of them. I really loved like the angel like realm that was in the book, and I really liked the enemies to lovers potential romance that was developing, so I do really want to continue. But the last like 50 to 100 pages of Angel Fall grossed me out so much that I almost DNF'd it, even though the whole of the first bit of the book was a 5-star for me. So I would just like people to let me know if it is still as gruesome in the next 2 books, because if it is, then I won't continue. Angel Fall is about, it's like a post-apocalyptic world where angels have taken over and they rule the streets basically, and it follows this girl called Penryn, and she has a sister, I think her name was Paige, who's in a wheelchair, and her mother, who I think is meant to be dealing with schizophrenia. It's not explicitly stated, but from what I could tell is schizophrenia. So she basically has to look after both of them. At the very beginning of the book, Paige, her sister, gets taken by an angel. Penryn helps to save Raph. I don't know how you pronounce his name. I say Raph. I think it's meant to be Raffi or something like that, but I'm going to say Raph. She helps to save his life, so she kind of asks him to help her find her sister in exchange for her helping him get his wings back. The next series that I need to finish is the Shatter Me series. I feel very conflicted about this, to be honest, because I had finished the Shatter Me series and I was very proud of myself. And then she decided to release more, and I've heard a lot of mixed things about the rest of the series. So I'm kind of debating just leaving it at Ignite Me, because I really did enjoy the original trilogy as it is. Let me know if it is worth continuing or not, because I did really enjoy the characters, but I've heard that it kind of goes off like track and the characters don't act like themselves anymore. Shatter Me is about this girl called Juliet who isn't allowed to touch anyone because her touch is lethal, and it's about how they kind of try and use her as a weapon. I also need to finish The Villains duology by V. Schwab. I read Vicious a few months ago, not very long ago, and I'm planning on reading Vengeful either October or November. I really like the series. I really like V. Schwab's writing style. It's the first of her series that I've ever tried, and I definitely will now want to read more of her stuff. But Vicious is basically about these 2 friends, well, they're no longer friends, but Eli and Victor. They're both scientists and they go to school together. There's these things called EOs, which are extraordinaries, and basically they try and turn themselves into extraordinaries, and I mean, they succeed. That's not a spoiler, you learn that in the synopsis. Their friendship is kind of broken apart after it, and it's kind of like trying to understand what happened. You get both present and past points of views, so you kind of have the backstory as well as the present day story about them trying to track each other down. But there are definitely trigger warnings for self-harm and suicide, because to make yourself into an extraordinary you have to die. So that is pretty much all of the series that I'm currently in the middle of. There was a lot, I am aware. So there are some series that I've also read some of the first books for, but the continuation is not out yet. For example, I've read A Curse So Dark and Lonely, but the next book, A Heart So Fierce and Broken, isn't currently out yet. But as soon as it is, well, I say I'll pick it up, but who knows with me, to be honest. Let me know which ones you want me to prioritise, and tell me what series you're in the middle of so I don't feel so bad about how many I need to finish. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you in the next one.